Welcome to Screamplay. With each episode, we will analyze the screenplay of a celebrated horror film by pulling it apart, story beat by story beat, to see what makes it a work of surpassing quality. In this episode, we will take a deep dive into the story structure of the 2024 surprise hit, Longlegs. We will be using the 24 story beats outlined in Adam Black's book, Screamplay, the last book on writing horror for the screen. A link to purchase a copy of the book can be found in the description below. Spoiler warning. This video will reveal the film's full story. If you haven't seen Osgood Perkins' film, you will get the most out of this video if you check it out before continuing. Without further ado, let's get into this creep fest. Story beat number 1. Capacity for evil. A strange man in a station wagon pulls up outside the home of a young girl. We come to know this man as Longlegs, the film's villain. The 8-year-old girl is curious and goes outside to see what is going on. The man seems to know her, calling her the almost birthday girl. He then makes an absurd comment about wearing his long legs today, all of which in this short scene helps set up his MO, his choice of victim, in particular their age, the timing, his style of speech, as well as his style of fashion. Story beat number 2, characters want. In an FBI bullpen session, we meet a new agent by the name of Lee Harker, TK. She is eager to prove herself as an FBI field agent. She is assigned to search for a killer door-to-door with another new agent. Story beat number 3, central theme. The senior agent leading the bullpen meeting says, "All right, kids, this is the part where you get to do the things grown-ups don't want to do anymore." This thematic line alludes to kids having to overcome the sins of their parents. Story beat number 4, competency. Harker's competency is her unique gift of intuition. An example of this occurs at about 8.5 minutes into the film when she picks the right house that the suspect is occupying. Also, a little later, she beat a numbers generator 8 times with her ability. Story beat number 4, competency. Harker's competency is her unique gift of intuition. An example of this occurs at about 8.5 minutes into the film when she picks the right house that the suspect is occupying. Also, a little later, she beats a numbers generator 8 times with her ability. Story beat number 5, core fear. Her choice of house on hunch leads to her partner getting shot to death by the suspect as soon as the door is opened during their door-to-door search. Is she afraid that her gift of heightened intuition will interfere with her detective work instead of enhancing her training? Story beat number 6, call to adventure. Outside the home where a family was killed by the father, who then killed himself, agents Carter, Browning, and Harker sit in a car and discuss the case. It is one of a string of similar multiple murder cases spanning back 30 years. Each crime has been accompanied by a handwritten letter written in code and signed by someone called Longlegs. Harker is asked to join the case. Story beat number 7, contesting the call. While they're still in the car, Agent Browning asks Agent Carter if he thinks Harker is ready for this kind of case. He believes she is ready. Story beat number 8, crossing into darkness. At the office, Harker is given files on the Longlegs case. Her and Carter discuss the case a little. He tells her that what the families had in common is that all the daughters had birthdays on the 14th of any given month. She then spends many hours poring through the case files. She starts deciphering the codes left by the killer at the various crime scenes over the past 30 years. Now working on this case, she has entered a darker world. Story beat number 9, chills and thrills, A. Harker meets Carter's family. Carter's 8-year-old daughter asks her what she wanted to be growing up. Then she goes on to ask, "Is it scary being a lady FBI agent?" Harker says yes, it is. The girl invites Harker to her birthday party, which is in a few days. Story beat number 9, chills and thrills, B. At home, Harker calls her mother, Ruth. She tells her she can't sleep due to work-related stress. "Nasty stuff?" asks Ruth, and her daughter confirms as much. Ruth also reminds her that it is her birthday coming up soon. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills C. Later at night, there is a knock on Harker's front door. Through a window, she sees a shadowy figure standing outside in the misty woods. She exits the house with her pistol and scope out the perimeter. Behind her, she sees someone in a white coat through a window inside of her house. She returns inside, searches the house like the trained cop she is, but finds nobody inside. But she does discover an envelope on her desk addressed to her. She opens the envelope. Inside, a birthday card for a 9-year-old. On the back of the card, a coded message in Longlegs' unique lettering. The ink is still wet. She works on deciphering the message with the aid of the Holy Bible. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, D. She gets called to a crime scene of a triple homicide, the latest victims of Longlegs. He left a note in his cryptic code. She solves it right there. Carter and another FBI agent show her the bodies of the parents. They are in an advanced state of decomposition after being left undiscovered for about a month, a sight that Harker finds unsettling. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, E. Harker calls her mother Ruth, informs her that she will be busy now with work and she won't be able to see her anytime soon. She might not be able to see her on her birthday either. Ruth asks her if she is still saying her prayers and reminds her that prayers keep us safe from the devil. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, F. Harker investigates the past crimes of Longlegs by looking through microfilm of old newspaper articles with headlines like "The Devil Made Him Do It" and "Satanic Cult on the Oregon Coast." She works on deciphering more of the coded messages at a library at night. There alone, she has the feeling that she is being watched while she works. She looks at a book called The 9 Circles of Hell. In it, she finds a triangular symbol in the book. She traces special letters in the message, and it forms the same symbol. She presents her finding to her superior, Agent Carter. She tells him it is an algorithm and explains how the killer used this to schedule his crimes. She also informs him of a survivor of one of the families that were targeted. That survivor is a young woman who now resides in a psychiatric hospital. They decided to go see her, but first, visit the location of the crimes. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, G. Carter and Harker arrive at the farmhouse. They enter an abandoned barn. In the attic of the barn, they remove the floorboards under a crucifix attached to the floor and find a sheet of paper with a cryptic triangle symbol on it and a box. Inside the box, a near life-size doll of a girl curled up. The two agents take the doll to a coroner. The coroner says it is handmade with real human hair, expertly done, clearly made with care. Agent Carter inquires about a metal ball in the coroner's dish next to the doll. He said he found it in the doll's head. He calls it the brain. It is hollow inside, he informs them. The coroner holds a mic to the metal ball and tells the agents to listen. The mic picks up a strange noise emitting from the ball. The noise causes Harker to have unsettling visions, represented by the quick cuts of snakes flashing upon the screen. Then we cut to Longlegs with Carrie Ann, the lone survivor in this murder case as a child. He drapes a black veil over the girl in front of a mirror. Is this a flashback or Harker imagining the scenario? Cut back to the agents with the coroner. The coroner says he swore he heard the ball saying his ex-wife's name over and over, but he dismisses that notion as a sign of being overworked. The agents leave to go to see Carrie Ann at the psychiatric facility. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, H. Longlegs goes to a hardware store to buy supplies and creeps out the teenage girl working the cash. This is our first full view of his face in the film. Driving away, Longlegs has a minor schizophrenic tantrum in his car. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, I. Agents Harker and Carter at the psychiatric hospital discover that Carrie Ann had a visitor recently for the first time in a long while, after which she suddenly became conscious after a lengthy period in a comatose state. The visitor's log lists her visitor as Lee Harker. The agents find out from the administrator that no ID is required to check in as a visitor. The visitor must have been Longlegs, their suspect. Harker interviews Carrie Ann alone while Carter waits in the corridor. Carrie Ann says she has seen her before, but Harker says she doesn't think so. Harker begins questioning her, how she feels, if she remembers what her life was like before she came here to the facility. While she talks, we jump back to her family life with her parents when it started going badly for them. The family has a doll, like the other victims. The mother practices stabbing the doll with a knife. The father cuts the head off of a cow with an axe. Then we see her father murder a priest and her mother with the axe. Harker asks about her visitor yesterday. Carrie Ann says she just wants to do whatever he tells her to do, to appease the man down the stairs, even if that meant committing murder or suicide. Harker asks her if she remembers having a doll, one that looked like her. Carrie Ann says no. Then, oddly, she adds that Harker doesn't remember having one either. Cut to Harker in the restroom, recomposing herself. That interview got to her. She studies herself in the mirror. Intercut, Longlegs at home, in his doll-making workshop. Story beat number 10, Complications of the B-Plot. In Agent Carter's office, he discusses the new findings with Harker. The lone surviving victim now appears to be feeling better than she has been in years after the suspect visits her. What's more, she came out of her catatonic state at around the same time the doll in the barn was discovered. A coincidence? Carter speculates. Then he asks Harker about her connection with Longlegs, like, how does he know your name? She says she doesn't know. He goes on to point out that when she came onto the case, it was ice cold, but now there is suddenly a lot of activity about the case. He tells her he pulled her report again. He asks her, when was the last time she spoke to her mother? She wants to know what does that have to do with this case. He informs her that on January 13th, 1974, her mother called in a police report, one day before her 9th birthday, which makes her birthday the 14th. A commonality with all the victims of Longlegs. Carter adds that her mother gave a description of a trespasser on that day, and the description matches that of Longlegs. He asks her if she remembers anything at all about that day. She doesn't. He orders her to go visit her mother to see what she says about the person who came to their house that day. Harker goes to see her mother, Ruth, at her home. Ruth asks her if she is still saying her prayers. Harker says no and confesses that she never said her prayers. They scared her. After a beat, Ruth laughs and says that prayers don't work anyway. While making food for her mother, Harker is taken aback after noticing all of her mother's medications. Then, a memory is triggered upon her seeing a closed door off the kitchen. In a flashback, we see her and Ruth days before her 9th birthday. That night, Ruth sees headlights pull up outside her house, which prompts her to get a shotgun from the room off the kitchen. Back to present day, Harker tries opening that room's door, but finds it locked. Ruth calls for her from another room. After Ruth mentions her daughter's upcoming birthday again, Harker asks her if she remembers her 9th birthday. First, her mother says she doesn't remember anything from her 9th birthday. Harker presses her. Harker reminds her that she called the police that day to report a trespasser. Ruth lies and says no one ever came to their home to visit them. Through their conversation, we learn that Harker was well protected growing up. Story beat number 9, Chills and Thrills, J. Ruth goes on to tell her that she has kept all her things from childhood. Harker goes upstairs to look through the stuff. He sees a wooden chest in her old bedroom. She brings it home to look through it. She finds a small doll and old Polaroids. As she looks at the old photos, she sees one of Longlegs, sending a chill through her body, causing her to drop the photos. A memory of meeting him that fateful day flashes in her mind. We jump back to the scene when that photo was taken. In this flashback, young Harker takes the man's photograph outside her home. Then Ruth shows up and demands to know why he is talking to her child. Longlegs sings his strange reply, telling her to let him in now. Back to the present, Harker reaches Carter while he is out jogging and presents him with the Polaroid of Longlegs and tells him this is the man they are looking for. The police pick up Longlegs at a bus stop. It is as if he was waiting for them. Story beat number 11, contrasting the old life with the new reality. Harker and a group of FBI agents in a boardroom watch a video of Longlegs being interviewed. We find out his real name is Dale Cobble. He mentions Lee Harker by name and wishes her a happy birthday, then proceeds to sing happy birthday to her continuously over and over, to the astonishment of the agents that were present for the video recording. Longlegs is looking forward to his old friend's birthday. Agents Carter and Agent Browning discuss with Harker the new evidence in the case. They found Longlegs' notebooks in the luggage he was carrying when he was arrested. The handwriting in them matches the writing in letters found at the scene. Agent Browning then addresses how Harker's involvement in this case complicates matters because of her previous contact with Longlegs when she was a girl. He knows her. Then she goes on to state that Longlegs hasn't actually killed anyone. He has been working with accomplices. They figure out that the chosen accomplice must be someone that the victims trust. Story beat number 12, confrontation. Harker interviews Dale Cobble in an interrogation room. He welcomes her as the almost birthday girl. He shares with her his thoughts of when he first found out that she went into law enforcement. As he does so, he mentions a she, and Harker asks who he is referring to. He sidesteps that question and expounds on the philosophy behind his crimes. Harker inquires about his accomplices. Again, he doesn't answer her question, but instead he goes on a little psychotic rant, shedding some light on his MO, talking about the families he has targeted and their white houses and the man downstairs. How the families must choose to destroy themselves to clean the world. Harker presses him, "Who has been helping you?" "Why don't you ask your mommy?" Longlegs replies. Harker is baffled by this answer because her mother doesn't know anything about this case. Then suddenly Longlegs proceeds to slam his own face down onto the table, bashing in his nose and killing himself in a bloody mess. Harker is shocked. Story beat number 13, Casualty A. In the corridor outside the interrogation room, Agent Carter scolds Harker for her handling of that interview. They didn't get the information they wanted out of Longlegs. Moreover, he tells her that they lost the only living witness, Carrie Ann. She committed suicide at the psychiatric facility. He must have told her to do it when he visited her. The main suspect and only survivor are now dead. Story beat number 14, cogitating on past and future. Like he was able to get the others to commit crimes for him, somehow he was able to get Carrie Ann to end her own life after just one visit. He did it alone without accomplices or black magic, Agent Carter says, rejecting Harker's theories. Angered, he walks away from her and Agent Browning. Story beat number 15, chasing the leads. Harker goes to visit her mother again to tell her the FBI need to bring her in for questioning because they believe that she can help them identify Longlegs' accomplice. Story beat number 15, chasing the leads. Harker goes to visit her mother again to tell her the FBI need to bring her in for questioning because they believe that she can help them identify Longlegs' accomplice. Story beat number 13, Casualty B. While Harker is inside the house looking for her mother, Ruth creeps up on Agent Browning sitting in the car and shoots her dead with a double-barrel shotgun. Inside, Harker hears the shot. She goes to the window to witness her mother fire a second shot into the FBI agent in the car. A panicking Harker goes outside to find Ruth in the yard, aiming the shotgun on the life-size doll of her as a little girl. Harker trains her gun on Ruth. Her mother says, "You caught him and now he's free." Harker tells her Dale Cobble is dead. Ruth says she is free too now. Story beat number 16, Crisis. In the same scene, Ruth shoots the doll's head off. A thin, black puff of smoke escapes off the back of Harker's head. She is instantly ill. She can't understand what is happening to her. She falls to the ground and loses consciousness. Flashback to that fateful day when Longlegs visited Ruth and her daughter. This is intercut with Ruth telling a young Harker the story of that day in bed at night. She says a doll maker came to visit them. We watch Longlegs tell young Harker that he has an early birthday gift for her, the life-size doll made in her image. Then we see what Longlegs did to her mother once she confronted him. After she refuses to let her daughter be taken by him, he ties her up in her home and presents her with a deal. In voiceover, we hear Ruth say that a deal was made with the strange man who came to their home that day. This deal involved her helping him with his work, the devil's work, murdering families. Through her involvement with the church, she was able to infiltrate families under the guise that they had won a prize from the church, a handmade doll. From there, he would be able to work from his hiding place within the doll and work his magic, causing the family to self-destruct. Harker wakes up in a bed in the basement of her mother's house. She gets up and walks by the workbench where Longlegs made his dolls. A phone rings in the background. Slowly, she makes her way upstairs to the kitchen. She answers the phone. On the other end of the line, a deep, gravelly voice of a man says she is late for the birthday party, referring to Carter's daughter's birthday, which Harker promised she would go to. Story beat number 17, contemplation. Harker, driving to Carter's home, screams in frustration, realizing that Longlegs has targeted Carter's family next. Story beat number 18, castle attack. Panic-stricken, Harker arrives at Carter's home. Carter and his wife invite her in and tell her she is just in time for the gift opening. Story beat number 19, catastrophe. When Harker enters their living room, she sees Carter's daughter with a doll replica of herself, a gift from Longlegs. Then she sees Ruth sitting in the room in her religious attire. She tells Carter that Ruth is Longlegs' accomplice. Carter is not listening to her. It is evident he is under some kind of influence. He is very rude to his wife, who is doing her best to hide her distress. There is a feeling of impending doom permeating the scene. Then Ruth openly tells Harker that the woman is already dead and the child is next. All three of them have to die, she says. Carter goes to the kitchen to cut the birthday cake with his wife. Mom, why are you doing this? If they don't die, then we will burn in hell forever. I am doing this for you, just like I've always done. In the kitchen, a struggle between Carter and his wife can be heard. Then Carter returns to the living room, spattered with blood, wounded, and holding a bloodied knife. Story beat number 20, crunch time. Harper trains her gun on him and orders him to stop. He continues to approach her. Then she shoots him dead. Ruth tells her to move away from the girl. Harper begs her to stop this. Story beat number 21, climactic twist. Ruth takes a knife out of her handbag and threatens Harker, but before she can take a step toward her, her daughter shoots her in the head. Story beat number 22, conquered evil. Weeping, Harper then takes the little girl by the arm and gets her away from the doll on the sofa. Story beat number 23, conclusion. Then she raises her gun and points it at the doll, but she doesn't fire it. On the soundtrack, Longlegs can be heard singing Happy Birthday, then a surrealistic quick cut of him laughing in the interrogation room. Back to Harper. Let's go, she says to the girl. Story beat number 24, coda. The final image is of Longlegs, before his self-destruction, sitting alone in the interrogation room, smiling, as he sends us off with one last message. Hail, Satan. Story beat number 24, coda. The final image is of Longlegs before his self-destruction, sitting alone in the interrogation room, smiling, as he sends us off with one last message. Hail, Satan. Thank you for listening to Screamplay. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like and subscribe. This episode has been written by Adam Black, based on his book, Screamplay, the last book on writing horror for the screen, produced by Adam Black and Adam Dwyer, directed and edited by Adam Dwyer, music by White Bat Audio, and narrated by Eli Decker.